Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at the Berlin Film Festival. Maybe for people who haven't seen Welcome Home Baby yet, you can give us a brief introduction. What can they expect when they come and watch your film?
Hopefully it's going to be an exciting, almost physical experience. So it's the film kind of uses genre tropes and takes you on a journey, on a very exciting journey, hopefully. Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting, tense journey to watch this film.
And it does feel like maybe there's something of a trend, or if that's the right word, where horror can be an incredible medium through which to explore psychological issues, particularly the female experience on a number of different levels, things about identity, about agency over our bodies. Why was that fertile ground for you to venture into with this film?
The starting point for this story was the experience of a school friend of mine who inherited a house and didn't know his father. And then he found very bizarre things about this person he didn't know. So with this in the back of my head, I started to develop this story together with Konstantin and Daniela. And so what we tried to do was using like the system or the structure of a genre film to entertaining in a way. Use all the elements that you can use to make it exciting. So what we tried to do is to use genre tropes to take the audience, show them a way that they might know, but then take different turns, and also use the tension on the surface to deal with subjects that the audience isn't aware, to go on a journey and experience the stuff that Judith is experiencing and stay in her perspective, never know more than the main character knows, and create a story that's not for your head but for your soul, and to live through this experience with Julia.
For you, when you read that script, this character, what really jumped out to you, and was it maybe an intimidating role to take on just because the character really is put through the ringer, like physically, psychologically, or was that a challenge that you really relished?
Yeah, I found it when I've read it, I found it very challenging, like the transformation the character goes through. And of course, I think there were like specific motives that I found interesting to dive in deeper, like such as trauma or losing control over your mind and your body. And that, for me, like the most invasive thing I can imagine is being pregnant, in like 3 months pregnant, and without hopefully spoiling too much, and not knowing. And this, this transformation, also pregnancy in a way, to picture it as a horrifying experience. And that were the things that I found interesting and challenging to embody.
One very strong influence for the film was the father, for example, this Anthony Hopkins dementia drama. And I think the biggest horror form for me would be to, lose faith in your own perception, to lose control over time, over your mind probably, and in the end over your body. This was a kind of big inspiration for us for the process.
And how did you know Julia was your Judith? And what was your collaboration like? I mean, you have to go to some dark places, and there's some pretty out there scenes. I guess that required a level of trust between you. So what was that like?
So first of all, I don't know how many actresses I met for this part, and then Julia did an e-casting, and before we went into the casting process, we met and talked about the script and about the subjects that are in the script and about the open questions that are in the script, and it was very important for me as an older white man making a story about a young woman that she's okay with everything that's in the script, and that she's going to be the face and the soul of this movie, and she has to be okay with it. And then we went through this casting process, and I think in this process we built some kind of trust, especially then when it was clear that Julia is going to be the lead, and then we had to find Ryan, her husband, and so we went through a lot of sessions with male actors to find the right person, and throughout this process I have the feeling we got more a clearer perception of what the story means to this character and how we can, create it together.
I feel like for me, or my experiences in the last years through this job is that for me to build trust, it's necessary that I can be honest, and then that I can, share sorrows or questions that I have, or even concerns, and then we can have an open dialogue about it. And that was very important for me. And also, I think for finding a vision that we both share, and then since I'm very not good in letting go, then really from day to day to let go a little bit more, as the character also does.
Do you have any techniques as well? I always think, being an actor on one of these sets, and you are going to, doing these really intense scenes, particularly when they are kind of, to do with psychology. Do you have to sort of have a break, have a rest in between? Do you sort of stay in that atmosphere? How do you make sure that you can kind of come back, and pull yourself back out of whatever those depths might be?
Yeah, I think it's a very important question, but I don't have any kind of method. I feel sometimes, I don't know how I got here. For me, it's very important to have a kind of a respectful and good vibe on set, and that I know the people that I'm working with, because we all create this film together, and then it's kind of easier for me to give myself into that. And also I think this very hard emotional scenes, to dive into very painful memory or anything, and to have 3 or 4 takes where I'm crying, or really feel like I got to this point where it's painful, that it sometimes also has something very cathartic to do it again and again and again, till a point where it's even disconnected to my own memory at the last try. So
I mean, we had the advantage we had that we could shoot a big chunk of the movie in sequence. We could, build up on the experiences of the scenes before, because, sometimes the schedule dictates you that you have to, shoot the ending in week 1 or something like this. And in this case, we really started the journey in Berlin, which we shot in Vienna, to be completely honest, and then go from there, because sometimes we didn't know how intense the scene would turn out, and it would have been wrong to do it this way, and then the emotional continuity is completely screwed up and stuff like this. So it was quite a journey.
And one of the things I love about horror as a genre is how creative you can be. Then when you're, shooting a straight up drama, and some of these images you create, or even sort of the atmosphere, the eeriness, the house itself becoming a character. Is that something that you sort of really enjoyed leaning into? And did you have a favorite scene, maybe, without any spoilers, but The
first scene in the movie, there are a lot of cryptic images, and we shot most of these images before we even started shooting. So we had a kind of test shoot in a production office, and we took a piece of meat and a kind of macro lens, and the camera was kind of moving over this meat, and then we took a kind of lighter and burnt this meat, and within this process, images appeared that we didn't imagine, because I never looked at meat in this so closely, and it was like a bizarre landscape, and discovering all this kind of subconscious images, or for example, all this the water stuff that we shot. So we shot the scene like in real, and then we took the camera, projected the image through an aquarium, moved the water surface, and something else was happening. So there was a lot of experimental possibilities to explore within the story. And I don't know if you have a favorite scene. Do you have one?
I think I genuinely love all the underwater scenes, like this diving into subconsciousness or unconsciousness visual level adds so much to the story, which is not, in the dialogue or in the script, that gives another layer to it. That the underwater scenes I all of them I love.
We were kind of very lucky with the location. So I was shooting there before on some TV show, and then we were just wrecking the house in the middle of this village just to look for an interior set. And then the guy said, "Okay, this was the place where my father was developing his photos, and this was the place where we had the pharmacy. So it was this house of the doctor." And then we discovered that across the street there was a garage, and you opened the garage and you went into a kind of into the mountain. So it was like reality and fiction kind of almost blended into each other.
What does it mean to you to have the film playing her in Berlin? And what do you hope people will come out? As you said at the beginning, you know, it's perhaps a visceral experience, this film, rather than a really sort of cerebral one. What questions do you think they can come out thinking, you know, whether that is about trauma, whether it is about identity, whether it is about, you know, women having agency over their bodies, and that maybe societal pressure to have children is there lurking underneath the story?
So first of all, I'm completely honored that this film was opening the Panorama yesterday, and I felt that the screening went very well and people really enjoyed it. So it's great to get this kind of visibility for our movie. We just finished the film in December, so it's like very fresh, and now it's out there in the world. That's the one thing. And there was one reaction from somebody who saw the film very early on, and then the next day he said he didn't know if he had seen the film or if he was in his dreams. And that's something that I would like the audience to experience, that the film stays with you for quite a while, and then that you kind of feel it in your body, and maybe you discuss it with your friends, and that you don't forget it that easily.
Yeah, I feel like as you said before, like the aspect of what in terms of like trauma, what do we give to the next generations when we don't talk about what was happening in the past? And so to know the past, to maybe be more empowered to present and the future, and also questions like in which the society that we now live in, I feel like there's a lot of leaning backwards, and a lot of I think there's a lot of need to fight against this. Like the character also fights with this very conservative and rigid systems.
100%. Very well put. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me. Huge congratulations on the film.
Thank you so
much. I really
much.
enjoyed presenting it here in Berlin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.